Welcome to the SoLive Podcast. SoLive is an educational nonprofit with a mission to make effective, non-toxic cancer treatments more accessible to the public while promoting general health, wellness, and happiness. This podcast is an extension of that mission. Thank you from SoLive.
Welcome to the SoLive Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Shanna Schultz, and I'm joined today by Tracy Keller.
I'm so excited to be here.
And we have a repeat guest, first time ever. We're really happy to have Mr. Tosh James back in the house. Welcome, Tosh.
Thanks for having me again.
Of course. And for those of you who have listened or partaken in the SoLive Podcast in the past, you may have heard our interview with Tosh James, where we talked about his elite wellness consulting firm, La Connoisseur, where we were specifically talking about a regimen he consults on called Biologics. And it's a wonderful podcast that I would definitely recommend you checking out, going back and listening to it. But today is going to be a little bit different, yet the same, because the topic is actually connected. So what are we talking about, Tosh?
Life 120.
Okay, I like it. Life 120. And so tell not just our consumers, but our customers and our family, but tell Tracy and I a little bit more about what this is. I mean, we have an idea, but we wanted to wait until we uncovered it all for our audience here to know exactly what it is.
Sure.
So give us an intro.
Yeah, so this has been an evolution. We've been looking for food regimens and programs for our clients to cling on to when they come on board with us. Because most of them that come to us are in dire straits, right? They have a stage 4 something, cancer or a cardiovascular issue or severe infections. So in the past, I've been doing this for about 16 years now, the wellness consulting side. And in the past, it was very simple. We would say, look, eat everything organic. But now you have to define what that is, what real food is and what organic is and how to find it and get it. And we would also say, eat as much variety as possible, fresh as possible, stick to wild-caught seafoods or wild-hunted meats. And that was about the extent of it because we were specializing in other things, our compositions that we create according to how the body's moving and the blood work and the testings that are coming back. So over the years, the need was more to be specific on, everybody wants to be kind of guided along.
Absolutely.
What to do. So this happened just in the last couple of years where it's just been an evolution of things added.
So it's been a complement to the other regiment that you have. This is something that was developed to support kind of the bigger picture, but in reality, it's supporting our body, which is the whole story, the whole picture.
Absolutely. You can take a brand new Bugatti and you put leaded fuel in there. After a few months, it's going to run like a lawnmower.
Okay.
So you got to put the right fuels in the car.
That's a great way to put it.
You got to make a
decision.
decision.
That is a great way to put it. So Life 120, I love what you were saying about we want some guidance. It just makes us, I think, feel safe. There's a kind of a safety net versus just saying all organic. And so how did you come to Life 120? Let's break that down a little bit.
Start with the name, and then we want to know what it's about.
Yes. So several things. So Life 120 because biblically we're promised 120 years, right?
That's right.
So we want to cling on to that. So even though we don't talk about it because people are getting sick by the time they're 60, half that age, and they're dying at 90 with some kind of sickness, especially in America, which is one. Two, a red blood cell takes 120 days to produce, a healthy new red blood cell. So you want to give the body the perfect opportunities to produce the perfectly healthy red blood cell because that's what nourishes all the tissue, delivers the oxygen to all the tissues. So between both of those and the way the body works, stabilize, repair and rebuild, and maintain, we came up with this 120 days. And it's much more. We'll talk about that even more. But 4 years ago, I added another piece to it. So it was much more than just telling people to eat organic. We started adding a juice regimen to it. So you probably heard Barb talk about that on her podcast.
Yes, it's definitely another SoLive Podcast episode you'd want to check out. So it's actually a testimonial of the regimen that we just mentioned a few minutes earlier. And she did mention her experience going through this 120-day Life 120, I guess is the best way to put it.
And it wasn't put together yet. It was pieced at that time. And the first thing we had was the 10-day juice regimen.
Okay.
So the reason we did that is to give the body a solid platform to start off with. And this is the best cleanse you can do. So when people say, I'm going on a detox, it's kind of an oxymoron. You're detoxing every day. If you weren't
That's
detoxing,
right.
you'd be dead.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
That's right.
so when they say I'm going on a detox, it's like saying I'm going to finally help my body detox like it should. So the 10-day juice regimen helps with that. And it's a blend. So veggies, fruits, nuts, and seeds all blended together with the pulp in it, so you get all the nutrition.
I like that.
So one, you're getting the nutrition, and two, the body's cleansing. The body will cleanse on its own. You don't need any pills and to stress the organs out even more. Just give it what it needs. And this is the best superfood you can give it, and it's real.
So when we think of a juice fast, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is it's a little bit scary. I like to eat. A lot of us like to eat. And the thought is, okay, I'm going to have to eliminate all solid food. But actually, what you call a juice fast, as you just mentioned, includes pulp and the seeds and so forth. So it sounds really wholesome and fulfilling.
Yes, absolutely.
So do you notice that, is there ever that starvation feeling to where the stomach is grumbling like, oh, I need more food, or does the pulp actually help make it seem like it's just had a full meal?
It should.
Okay.
But you can do as many as you want. We ask you to do a minimum of 3.
Okay.
So 24 to 32 ounces per
So there's not
drink.
going to be hunger involved.
No, not at all. So if
Not physical hunger.
Right, it's a psychological hunger. So
Okay.
you got to get over that. And we kind of give you an out as well, because it is psychological a lot of times. As long as you do at least 3 per day, if you want to do a soup or a salad to add to that,
Sure.
great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. So who would this be good for? Who is set up for Life 120?
Everyone
I had a
needs
feeling he
this.
was going to
Yep.
say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Everyone. So again, going back to how all this started, this was designed for people that they didn't have a choice. They were dying. I have stage 4 cancer. I have a cardiovascular issue. Scheduled for a bypass or a stent or whatever, and they
So they're highly motivated.
very highly motivated, right? So you don't
Sure.
have to motivate those people.
Right.
So they're going to do exactly what you tell them to do because they want to live, if they want to live. So
Yeah.
we talked about this earlier, and this is a weird way to put it. It's a kind of a sick way to put it. Like, if you eat like you're sick, you would never get
Get
sick.
That's right.
So I say
Literally
that all
a
the
sick
time.
way to put it. Okay.
Right. But it's like that's the only thing that people can relate to. Because when you're sick and you have a fever and you're vomiting or whatever's going on, you're not going to ask somebody to go get you a chicken fried steak
That's right.
with
I know,
mashed
I got
potatoes
it.
and gravy. You're going to say, please get me some chicken noodle soup or hot teas or whatever.
right.
And
Well,
oftentimes our body's actually craving these things. It's
Yes.
talking to us, and
right.
to where when we're actually feeling we're not sick and we don't realize that we need to focus on our own health and wellness, we're not listening to our body.
Right.
So we may be eating and consuming whatever, but when I'm sick, I definitely have very distinctive cravings.
Right.
And it's because I'm listening to my body. We care when we're sick.
Yeah.
That's it. Which kind of brings us to the next question. Is this a hard process?
Depends on you, because it's tougher when we're in a carnivorous environment. We eat meat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is why we're so inflamed. We're one of the sickest populations in the world. Our healthcare system's not helping that process. People think they're going to take more pills to counteract that,
Sure.
and that's not helping. And you're just in a domino effect. So yes, it can be difficult, but you got to make a decision. Either you pay now or you pay later.
That's right. That's what I always say.
So would you say there's kind of like this tipping point to where you see it becomes less difficult for people once they've been on the regimen or the, would you call this a regimen? The program
Sure, yeah.
long
Regimen,
enough?
program, yes,
Yeah.
because once you get going and the wheels start turning, you start getting addicted to the way you feel, then what
That's
you
a
want.
good addiction.
that
Yes.
is. That is.
So it's not about just the way you look; it's the way you feel. Because it's not geared for weight loss, even though that's a great side effect that happens because all the excess is leaving you. But it's really about how you feel, because you're delivering more blood and oxygen to all your organs like it should.
Isn't that what we're normally addicted to, is the feeling? So if I want something that maybe isn't great for the body, it's because I'm going to get some kind of immediate gratification.
That's right.
And so what it sounds like is once we're on this process long enough, that our body actually starts getting immediate gratification that is also long term. So it's not going to go away and then be followed by a negative feeling. We're actually
Right.
going to feel better and want to keep feeling better. So those other things that may be tempting aren't really that tempting anymore.
Right. Right.
I love it.
That's it.
You know, Tosh, you had mentioned pantry.
Yeah.
And when I was kind of reading through things, I realized that you weren't necessarily being literal about that term. Talk to us about that.
I call it the pantry because we understand pantries, right? All the excess stuff sits in the pantry.
I know where to find the pantry.
So, well, most people can in this country as well. You just have to look down when they have the huge gut or whatever. Okay. That's what I call the pantry. So you keep, but in this sense, it's not a good pantry. It's a cesspool. It's a brewing ground for cancer. It's a brewing ground for cardiovascular issues. This is how you end up with colon cancer, pancreatic cancer, all of this stuff, because you have all this excess on you and you're not burning it off. It's not going anywhere. And you keep adding and adding and adding. So at some point you have to turn it around or the body's going to shut down. It's going to tell you to turn it around.
So the pantry is the extra body fat. It's the...
Even waste. That's just, most people don't know this, but you do. It's sitting in there. It's backed up for weeks, yes. Right? We talk about this without even mentioning his name, but there was a celebrity that did an autopsy on. He had 40 pounds of waste in his gut when they opened him up.
Wow.
So this is the majority of our population.
So what do we do about this?
Okay, so we'll talk. So let's talk about.
We went down that road. Please connect us back to Life 120.
So Life 120. Let's just talk about just the phases.
Okay,
and then we can come back to it.
Perfect.
So phase 1 is the 10-day juice blend. We talked about that. What I also took into consideration is because of our characteristics and our habits, we are creatures that have been doing something a certain way for so long, right. And it's really hard to break the habit. So we have to give the mind and the body a little bit of break. Mm-hmm. So after the first 10-day juice blend, you're going to take a 5-day break. You can eat whatever you want. The only thing we ask you to do is keep it organic. So if you go eat a steak, just go buy a steak from the grocer or rancher and eat that, right? You take the 5-day break, and then you do 21 days of vegetables only. You can eat any and all vegetables you want. Potatoes.
Potatoes, all right.
Avocados, mushrooms, all of that. So nothing's off the table.
Now, can it just be potatoes?
I don't know. You have to have a good blend. Maybe some green beans or
well, I can do red potatoes, yellow potatoes.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, one in every color.
Sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes, yes.
Sweet potatoes are good. So, and actually, those are some of the most nourishing vegetables because they're root vegetables, right? So people don't say it's a vegetable, but it's coming from the ground, so it has the most nutrition in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So as many vegetables as you want, as many times you want, you can eat it raw.
And that's 21 days.
21 days.
Okay.
You can eat it raw. You can soup it, salad it, steam it, bake it, however you want to do it.
Fry it?
That's the only thing that's off the table.
I mean, I had to ask for everybody.
Right.
Yes. Okay, got it. Sorry.
That's the only one that's off the table. So that's 21 days. And again, you take any questions on that 21 days?
No.
So we've gone from the juice and the pulp, and now we're on all vegetables.
10 days. 10 days juice and pulse.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
21 days
vegetables
only.
And we get another break after this.
And
another break, a 5-day break.
5-day break.
Go eat whatever you want. You want a couple of glasses of wine, whatever you like. Do that. So your body gets a break, your mind gets a break, and then we're going to do 21 days again. Now it's accumulative. So you do the vegetables, and we're adding all the fruits you want to it.
Nice.
Any and all fruits you want. Now, always nuts and seeds are allowed. So even on the vegetable regimen, you're going to do nuts and seeds.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Okay.
And that's kind of, for me, psychologically, when I started doing this, when it's late at night, 9, 10 o'clock at night, even though you're not really hungry and your mind's telling you you're hungry, you just want to chew on something. So mine was cashews. So I'd buy like 2 pounds of cashews at a time, and I'd go grab a handful of cashews and start chewing on it and drink some milk or whatever.
Well, and the protein.
Yeah.
I feel, some people need more protein than others, and I probably have too much protein in my diet, but that's a really great way to keep that in your system.
Nuts and seeds for sure.
So, okay, now we're bringing fruit in. I have a question for you specifically about fruit. I love fruit. There's definitely some I love more than others, but usually when I'm working on some type of dietary program or even a habit or a way of life where I'm trying to eat healthy, I oftentimes try to cut out fruits because of the sugars and what we hear about, whether it's on social media, friends and family, like, okay, fruit's high sugar. So now you're bringing this natural sugar, but these fruits into the diet. What's the benefit, or is that is there even, not a downside about it, and that's all wild still?
So that's the key. Natural,
Okay.
but real. So if you're going to have a banana, it's got to be a real banana. If it's fake, then the body can't
No
understand
fake bananas.
it. No fake bananas, or any other fruit.
Okay.
So the body can process it. The organs understand.
They know
it,
what to
right?
do with
yeah,
it.
they know what to
Okay.
do
Yes.
with it.
All right.
Natural sugars can be processed.
Trust
by
my
the
body.
organs. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Good.
Got it. Okay. Sorry. Didn't
So-
mean to interrupt.
No,
So,
you're good. Perfect.
Phase 3.
Yeah. So the phase is you take a 5-day break again.
Okay.
Eat whatever you want, and you do another 21 days, and now you're adding eggs, maybe some grain if you'd like.
So we're starting phase 4 now.
Yeah.
Phase 4, yes.
So you
So-
add eggs,
Mm-hmm.
grains, legumes are always okay. So for grains, we can do quinoa. You could do brown rice, some of
Okay.
that. If you can hold off till the next phase, is even better.
Okay.
But if you're
Okay,
struggling,
okay.
there's a little bit of flexibility
okay.
there. Then you can add that because the key we're really just trying to add eggs to it. But a lot of
Okay.
people don't do eggs or they're not used to eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're allergic to eggs, then try organic eggs, free range eggs. Try that first, see if it works. If not, then you can add some of these other things that you can
And
supplement for it.
And I'm seeing in the notes here, you have kombucha, coconut water, herbal teas. So it seems like these liquids are also an important aspect.
Yes, in every phase. You can
In
have
every
all of
phase.
those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit. Oh, actually, let's get to the 5th phase, and then I
Okay.
kind of want to circle back with some specific questions. So
Sure.
we'll go to phase 5.
So you take another 5-day break, eat whatever you want, and then you add wild-caught seafood to it. Any and all. So shrimp, oysters, mussels, any type of fish, as long as it's wild-caught.
Okay.
Okay, so when I was shopping in the grocery store, I thought I was buying wild-caught seafood. I don't know if y'all have noticed this, but a lot of the marketing that's on the seafood bags actually has a picture or a term that makes me feel like what I'm buying is actually freshly caught. But if you read the small print, you see that it's farm-raised or farm-fed. Any tips on how to, identify what is actually considered fresh caught when we're talking about seafood?
It's got to say wild-caught on there.
Is that the official term?
The official term, because
Okay.
it'll say like carefully raised
Yes,
or
yes.
yeah,
Pet
responsibly
often,
raised.
kissed and hugged.
That's right.
Okay. Got it. All right. So kind of connected to with the seafood, what about with the organic fruits, vegetables? Are there organic nuts? I mean, is everything? Are we
There are.
looking for
Yes.
There are.
that stamp that says it's organic?
Yes.
And where do you find that? Because oftentimes in my local grocer, the organic section is really small, and there's not a lot of options there.
Yeah, I understand. You have to make an effort depending on what part of the country or what part of the world you're in. And it's
Right.
actually easier to find it in other parts of the world. Here it's more packaged and processed, so you have to search it out.
Okay.
Co-ops are a real good place
Yes.
to find it.
That's right. You have a really great connection there, and we'll include some of this in the
Yes.
show notes. There's some really great, and I'll pick on them a little bit more. We'll get some more good resources and content
Yeah.
for you. But you're also going to be able to find some of this, I bet, in the Life 20 resources that Tosh is releasing. So we'll make sure that we get these helpful tips together so that we can share with everybody. Okay, so we're in phase 5.
Phase 5.
Another 21 days,
Another 21 days.
and then what?
And now you're coming out of the other side, you have a whole new lifestyle and habit. Because this is why diets don't work. People do things for short
That's
term.
right.
And then when you're done with that, you go right back to the way you used to do things. Now
Okay.
you've cumulatively created a new habit and a new lifestyle. So when you come out on the other side, you're eating pretty much everything, right? Just wild-caught seafood. And
Okay.
you've created a new habit. It only takes 21 days, what they say, but you've done multiple 21 days of
Sure.
this.
It's like an overlap. You're
Overlap.
overlapping
Yeah.
this habit.
Yes. And the body is feeling great. You have so much more energy. You have so much more oxygen in your bloodstream. And you're more addicted to the way you feel. And hopefully you've lost some weight as well along the way.
I did want to ask, you were talking earlier about you were experimenting with these things. Now you have this whole program put together. How did you come about this?
That's
you
a great
talked
question.
you talked about
Yeah.
the one, it's 120 days, but
Yeah.
how did you say, oh, we're going to do nuts here and we're going to add this here? I want to
Yeah.
hear about that.
So this was fall of last year. And I was at a friend of mine. We were just talking about foods and different types of eating habits. And I felt like God told me to go on a 21-day vegetable-only regimen. And I got to be honest, I'm pretty blended, but I'm a carnivore too. I like my
Me too.
I like my double meat, double cheese.
We're going to talk about beef in a minute, by the way.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yes.
that's the next unofficial phase we're going to roll into.
Okay.
So I said, okay, well, I don't even know why I'm doing this, but I'll do it. So I went cold from one evening to the next with no preparation.
You just knew, like you.
I knew I needed to do it. So it wasn't even me coming up with a food plan. It was more for me. So I started it, and I just went head on and just dealt with it. So I would go to meetings at restaurants and get 3 sides, and people look at me like I'm crazy. I said, guys, I'm just doing this. I'm doing this for 21 days, doing an experiment. So within 2 weeks into it, people were looking at me going, what's going on with you? What are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm not doing anything. Like, well, you're losing weight. You're trimming down. We can tell. And I said, well, I'm doing this 21-day vegetable regimen. I'm trying to figure out how it works. So that's how it started.
Okay,
So
then from there.
from there, I felt like the Holy Spirit was leading me in this. I took that's where the 5-day breaks came in.
Okay, you needed a break.
I needed a break, right? And also, to be transparent, there was one time during that first 21 days, I got invited to a grand opening of a restaurant in Dallas, and it was a high-end restaurant, 8-course meal.
Oh,
So
yes.
I had to excuse myself. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I did. I had the 8-course meal. That was the exception, and I went right back to it the next day.
What happens when, okay, you've given yourself that permission, and then the next day, your best friend invites you out for this other thing? Maybe it's not an 8-course meal. Maybe the reason is not necessarily as big of a, exemption purpose. But at that point, you've been on this regimen that's removed all these things you're used to having. You've just had a little taste of it, and now there's something else down the road, and your body is craving it.
Yeah.
And maybe it's at that point to where it's like, okay, let me just do this. I'm going to give myself permission today. And then the next day, I'm also going to give myself permission the next day. Like, how do we manage
That's
when
a
we
great
get to that
Yeah.
point to where we actually feel the addiction in our body? Because I know that feeling, and I know a lot of people can relate to this, to where you just kind of have to have that craving that you're having.
Well, not only that, there's also this emotional bond that we feel with people and food that pulls us in.
Oh, definitely.
So
yeah.
there's also the aspect of, I feel closer to that person when I'm kind of eating with what they're eating.
Yeah.
So you have some thoughts on that?
Yeah, so this just came to me. So I did this subconsciously. I started sharing my journey with people, with my friends, because they
Okay.
were asking me, what's going on? What are you doing? How are you losing weight? And I hadn't been in the gym in weeks. So when I shared the journey with them, they became part of the accountability process,
Okay,
right? So they were like,
okay.
okay, well, let's not go here. Let's go here. I'll go here with you
Nice.
so you can do this, and I'll have this with you kind of thing.
But they're
So
supportive.
They're supportive, yes. So they're not
There's a
trying
support
to
system.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like a built-in support system because you're sharing your journey, and they want you to win. They want you to get better.
Well, and that's also who you surround yourself
I was
with.
going to say this. I have some very close friends who will, tease me and you do what you want to do. And it's not that they're not wanting to support me. They just don't realize how they're not supporting me
That's
by their
true.
action. So it's nothing against them, but not everybody can just go, whatever you need, we're here for you on that. They just don't get it.
That is beautiful. That's a beautiful place to be. Also, I believe with this, the Life 121.
Yeah, 120.
120.
120. I added an extra day there with Life 120. With those breaks, and we're sharing our story, and we're talking about, health and well-being. Not only can people support us, but hey, when you hit that 5-day break, let's plan something. So
Yeah.
there is
Oh,
a
that's
relief
good.
there.
That's true,
It's
yeah.
not like when we're, like what you said earlier, these diets don't work because we're setting ourselves up for this long haul. Whereas you can say, hey, can you give me the support for this next, I've got 3 days left of this
Yeah.
10-day, journey, and then you pick the place.
Right.
So I feel
perfect.
like, there
Yeah.
is a way.
Yeah, I did do a lot of that, for sure.
Okay.
Okay, I want to pause the story for a minute because I feel like this is a Tracy moment right here. Yes, this is your story, Tosh, but Tracy, talk to us a little bit about the importance of excusing yourself and just allowing yourself to enjoy that special moment, meal, or whatever it may be.
So there is so much power in being in the moment. And when you've embraced, like, this is a special thing, I'm going to embrace this food, and you are completely present in that moment, the thoughts that you think while you're eating that food will cause the body to actually process the food differently. So by you saying, I know I'm supposed to do this, you gave yourself full permission. It is so important that when you are choosing to eat this, you give yourself full permission. You're fully present. You're tasting it. You're enjoying it. Your body will actually process it in a way that it's supposed to. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. You had already been doing the vegetables. So your body was processing food differently than before you started this.
Yeah.
So I want you to add on to this a little bit.
Yeah, so it actually, I didn't feel sick. I didn't feel any different. There were some meats as part of that. There was 2 desserts in there. But the body processed it better because the if you want to call it, the soil was fertile, right?
Yes.
With all the greens I had put in there, the body was doing so well, so great that it had the environment to blend everything and process everything
Your body knew
faster.
exactly what to do with it, and you went into it with no guilt and no shame.
Yeah.
So no guilt, no shame. The body was prepped, and we can still totally and completely enjoy life. That's what we forget. So continue.
Okay,
Yeah.
love that.
So
Sorry,
good.
thank you.
So if you have
Good.
to, we all have families. You may get invited to a birthday dinner or whatever.
It's always going to
Just
be a birthday party.
Yeah.
some reason to celebrate. Just take that one meal and just enjoy it.
And be so in tune with your body, because it could have been like you would have, you know what, I'm not supposed to do this. I know this is, but you had a full permission.
Yes.
Because you were in touch with your body. That's the other thing, when we're getting back to nature, our bodies can now tell us, hey, this is what we need, a little more of this, or we need a little more of that. So that's just a
I
great
even had a
example
glass of
that.
whiskey and a cigar.
Well,
Just,
I like that you're sharing that.
Yeah.
Because
I have
that's
to be
so real.
yeah.
You have
It's
to.
relatable.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
And because then we build up these mindsets of I messed up. So you know what?
Yeah.
Forget it. I'm not going to do
Yeah.
any of the 21 days.
Next
Right.
year.
You went, next year.
Next January 1st.
Yes. Instead, the next day, you went right back to it.
Yeah,
Okay, so
went right
then
back to
from
it.
there,
and jump right back into it. Finished the 21 days, and I felt like I needed to take that 5-day break. And felt like I was prompted again by the Holy Spirit to go, I need to do another 21 days, but now you can add fruits to it.
This is really interesting because to me, you're doing vegetables and it's working.
Yeah.
So my thoughts wouldn't be, oh, I need to change it.
Yeah.
I should do something different now, aside from what has just been working for me. But like you said, it came in prayer or from the Holy
It was,
Spirit, and
yes.
so you just knew that that's what you needed to do next.
That's what I needed to do.
Okay.
And I felt so great. I had lost 20 pounds already. And I wasn't trying to lose weight. I had not even stepped in the gym. But I didn't lose any muscle mass. I just was losing all the excess, the pantry.
The pantry.
the
Right.
pantry.
All right, emptying the
It
pantry.
was exiting.
I would have never thought I was overweight. Nobody ever said I was overweight. I was husky or whatever because I was lifting all the time, right? That's the word you wanted, husky. Right?
We call it corn-fed. Corn-fed, yes.
So I dropped 20 pounds. So I started trimming down, and I felt so good. I was jumping out of bed at 5:30. Anybody that's known me for the last 20 years knows I'm not a morning person. Do not call me before 8 a.m. in the morning. But I was out of bed at 5:30, 6 a.m. in the morning without an alarm clock.
Okay, that's
And
awesome.
That's when I knew this is working. I need to keep going down this path.
Okay. All right.
So we added the fruits to it, did that for 21 days, took a 5-day break, and then the third 21 days, I felt like the Holy Spirit prompted me to add eggs to it. So I started my day off with an omelet every morning with all the different veggies in it, jalapenos and spinach and peppers, and that was kind of my big meal.
Recipes to be included.
Yes.
Yes.
And actually, when you're describing this omelet, my mind went to one of my favorite foods, which was never mentioned in this, which dairy. So is dairy completely cut out of in all the phases?
Yes, we want to add it in the egg phase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and when I buy dairy, I mean like cheese. Lots of cheese.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
So,
then it becomes a slippery slope. Then you want to add this
Okay.
and add that.
so if you do add some of that, definitely don't do it until you're in the egg
Egg phase.
phase.
And remember, you have the 5 days. You
Yeah.
have the 5
Yes.
days in
Okay,
between.
that's
true. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is not an all or nothing.
Okay, yes, that's where my mind keeps going back to. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you have eggs. That omelet made me really hungry
Yeah.
right now. And so then what?
A 5-day break, and then the last 21 days was adding all the seafood into
Okay.
it.
So you said there's like an unofficial phase with beef, or maybe even chicken, or other types of poultry.
So as you roll out of this 120 days, you're pretty much eating everything with wild-caught seafoods.
Okay.
And the last piece you want to add to it is meats, which is you want to stick to wild hunted meats. So
My
bison.
husband will be very excited
Yes.
about
Yeah.
this because he'll say, "Honey, I have to go hunting."
Oh yeah.
You know?
As long as he's going to share the catch.
Oh,
the hunt.
absolutely.
Yeah, that comes back to the SoLive family, right?
It sure does. You're first on the list.
Do you have in this Life 120? Do you have a recommendation on portion size? Because I feel like everything you can, all the vegetables, all the fruit, all the what have you. But now that we're leveling into this lifestyle, are you conscious about portion size?
So if you do the Life 120,
I was thinking, I think I know where you're going with this.
The way we're asking you to do it, the portion size will dictate itself because your stomach is shrinking. Your pantry is shrinking, right?
Yeah.
So your body's not needing more than what you need to function.
I also feel along those same lines as when you get those processed foods out of your body and you're eating so
Yes.
pure, all of a sudden your body is talking to you and you're saying, okay, hey, I think we need a little bit more here. I need a handful of nuts here. We actually are in communication. When we have those chemicals going in, the chemicals are dictating our brain.
Right.
Saying, I need another bag of potato chips right now.
Yes.
We are so out of touch with our bodies. So I was thinking that along those lines, when I'm eating really pure, I know what I need and how much I need. And I'm not going to overeat broccoli and
Right.
You're not having to
Spinach.
overthink it.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
you're taking care of your body. You're doing. You
And
know
your
what you need
body
to do,
speaks
and you're
to
listening.
you so clearly.
Yep.
So, Tosh, how will people be able to get their hands on a more specific understanding of these phases? How are you presenting this to the community? Is it something that they can access, buy as a package? Is it something just to be available on the website? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure. We have a website. It has all the recipes on it in every
I
phase.
can't wait for that. I'm always looking for good recipes.
You can
Okay.
download all of that. We have an e-document that you can download and use as well. And we have a booklet that you can purchase. So it's 120 pages.
Okay.
It's a journal. If you want something in your hand that
I
you can
like
check
that.
off day by day by day, take notes. There's inspirational tips in there as well. That's something you can carry.
So it's
for
a
120 days.
journal / workbook.
Yes.
And it explains everything that you need to be
Everything in
doing, and you can kind of keep track of your own progress.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So ebook, a hard copy, all that's going to be available on the website. And of course, you can always stay tuned to our SoLive podcast or just listen to this again because it has some really great information in it. And I'm pretty sure we're going to continue harassing Mr. James over here with more events and getting more knowledge from you. But I think this is incredible. I'm excited about it. It seems like it's manageable.
I'm so thankful.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful also to have the information all in one place. And just like what you were saying, manageable. It's so doable because it's not all or nothing. You're following these regimens to get your gut back into place, and then you have this freedom again. And I believe, at least in my own experience, when I have that freedom, you're not overdoing it because now you have a sense of like, hey, I'm really full. I don't need that second serving of, because now, that 5 days, the ice cream or the steak or whatever is allowable, but your body is now dictating.
Yeah.
Not you're like, hey, we're going to do
Yeah,
this.
I feel like it's going to be less appealing. Like you're not really even going to want that
Right.
anymore.
Because it's not a law.
Right.
You still, you have that freedom.
But if you've gone to somebody's house and that's what they're serving, then
Yes.
it's okay.
Yeah, and that's
Exactly.
become a lifestyle for me. So I try not to buy meats at all, bring into the house, other than if it's wild hunted. I'll
Sure.
pick some up from my friends, throw it in the freezer. But now my treats are when I'm out and when I'm at a friend's
That's a
house.
great way to do it.
I was at, somebody invited me to go to an RV park to hang out with some friends that had come into town. Well, they had hamburgers. So I said, you know what, I'm going to have a hamburger. I enjoyed it.
That's right.
So
That's right.
that's kind of my out for the
Okay.
meats.
And your body knows exactly what to do with it, and it's not going to hang on to it. That's what we have to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is something that I'm going to go ahead and put on our podcast so you guys can hold me accountable to it. This is definitely something that I'm going to try. I'm probably going to rope Tracy into this.
Yes.
And so
we're
that
going to do it together. It's
we-
always so much better together.
Okay. So now I can feel like actually it's the release already. I only have to think about it. I know I'm going to do it. It's going to be something that we're going to be able to share with you guys just from our own experience, which is really important. Through our SoLive mission, we like to investigate and try things out ourselves so that we know what we're talking about. These are things that we're willing to put, give to our family or give to ourselves or practice for ourselves. And so I think it's really important that we go through your Life 120. And I love every aspect of it, especially the breaks in between, because it just makes it seem so much more, accessible. Absolutely.
Doable. Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to coach you guys through that.
Okay. All right, we're going to hold you to that.
All right. So, everyone, you can find this information, as we mentioned, in our show notes. We're definitely going to be posting about that there. If you actually have questions, please reach out to SoLive. You can reach out to Tosh James directly. That will also be in the show notes. And we'll continue to follow and grow alongside of this Life 120 and share any new information that we get. But we're just really excited to be a part of this, and we're extremely honored for you to have shared this on our SoLive podcast. So thank you so much, Tosh.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
SoLive takes a holistic approach in that mind, consumption, and movement is your strongest ally in creating the mental and physical wellness you desire. Join us on this journey of sharing the best tips, insights, and expert advice we've come across. Thank you from SoLive. For more information, go to soliveinc.org.